welcome to the first ever session, episode 1 of Let's Talk Money. My name is Leo Ski. I'm joined with
Heidi Simone. Hello.
And this is the first session of Let's Talk Money. Now, there's various different reasons why we're looking to do this. And this session, we wanted to design it from an introductory standpoint so that you guys can get to know us a little bit and the purpose as to why we put this on. So I guess, Heidi, do you want to give a little introduction or what was your idea behind, or what is Let's Talk Money?
Clue is in the title, guys. We're not tricking you. It's Let's Talk Money. So me and Leo was going to start a book club, but we thought, you know what, let's share that with other people. We're on journeys of learning about money and developing our relationship with money and progressing within that. So we really just wanted to turn this into a community of people that want to level up in their financial knowledge and everything like that, and just really start encouraging discussions on money. Because me personally, and I think it is the same for you, Leo, we didn't grow up in environments where money was that talked about, and we're having to do a lot of learning on our own. So we just wanted to share that experience with other people.
100%. And throughout the course of this journey that you guys are tuning in with us on, you're going to be learning a lot more about both myself and Heidi as well. So we're going to become almost like your best money friends, or the money friends that you wish you had. Because I feel like even in friendship circles, money isn't spoke about. It's like everybody gets their own job, they do their own career, maybe they have their own family, they go on to get houses, do entrepreneurial stuff, but no one actually gets together and speak about money. And I heard something the other day, and I can't remember who said it, but they said, when was the last time that you got, and this may or may not be your goals, but they said, when was the last time that you got together in a group with 10 or 5 or even 3 other people and just sat there for 5 hours trying to write a plan on how we're going to become a millionaire?
It's not really happening like that.
Right? It's not
really going down like that.
So we don't have those kind of discussions. So hopefully you guys can have those kind of discussions with us as well. So what would you say is, I guess, you, Heidi, why do you think it's important that we should put this on?
I know, I find it scary how ignorant we can be when it comes to finances. When I have tried to have discussions with maybe like friends and family members, I think it is a little concerning, the amount of people that don't even know their own credit score, or why it's important to know what your credit score. And it's not to make anybody feel bad or shame anyone about that, but it's just like, we can't live in ignorance of money. I think it comes from fear. I know I've had my own experiences of money and fear in that relationship, and we'll get into that in as we go on. But I think it's really important to actually just be transparent, have the conversations, have the information presented to us and you guys that are watching and listening in a way that is comprehensible. Because again, then the information that is out there already on finances, I feel like it's not that accessible for everyone. And we really just want this to be conversations about money that are accessible, for me anyway. How about you?
I think it's about making it more real, making it a bit more fun as well, making it a bit more like real life. And because it's a very personal or sensitive topic, if we was to speak about, yes, back in the day, let's just say 50 years ago, people would never speak about sex online. No one would speak about it. But like nowadays, it's all like everyone's liberated and free.
People making money on it.
And I feel like money is still a sensitive topic.
Yes.
And unless you got a lot of money, people don't speak about money. So the average person doesn't have a lot of money. So most people aren't speaking about it. So I think it's important that we can help the average person to be more comfortable hearing about money and learning about money as we learn as well. So what are we going to be going over? Like, tell the people, like, what are we going to be speaking on throughout the episodes as they progress?
So episode wise, what we really want to be talking about is we're both going to be reading books on finances, maybe marketing, things like that, just things to do with money, ecology of money, our relationship towards money. And we're reading it for you, essentially. We're going to be giving you positive and negatives of the book, the key takeaways. You can decide if you want to read it or not. And we're going to give you our opinions on what books we think are worth you reading. But if reading books just isn't your thing, that's not a problem. We're going to give it to you. We're going to give it to you straight. We got you. And then just some general conversations on money. Like today, we're going to get a little bit personal with you guys. I've got some things, some hot topics, relationships and money. Oh, bit of discourse on that one. We're just any way that we relate to money in real life, we're going to be talking about it. Basically, that's it.
100%. So I guess now we can obviously explain a little bit about the channel. If you're tuning in from YouTube or if you're seeing snippets of this on IG, then I guess it's time to get into the nitty-gritty. What are we going to be really helping people to uncover and discover? Because I feel like the first step is awareness. Because I always say, if you want to change something, you need to first be aware that it's something that needs to be changed. And most people, they're afraid of change. And being stuck in habits that you're afraid to change, especially when it comes to money, is going to keep you in a situation that you don't want to be in for a very, very, very long time. And I've got some very deep-rooted not money problems, but like
99 sorry.
how we act when it comes to money. Everything that we do when it comes to money, it stems all from deep-rooted things that have happened in our lives around money, perhaps growing up as well, that now contribute to how we act towards it as well. So this is a question, of course, we want to ask us our opinions on it first, but we also want to ask the audience as well, for those that's tuning in. So first icebreaker question to get into things is, what is your earliest memory related to money?
You can answer this one first.
So you're not even going to ask me, I'm asking it. And you want me to answer it as well?
I'll
Cool.
answer after you. I'll answer after I need to think.
All right, cool. So my earliest memory relating to money was that I can always remember growing up, money was something that was either in abundance or in complete scarcity.
Right.
There was no happy medium. There was no stable income. And I think for those of you that's like entrepreneurs or business owners, you're obviously going to relate to me when I say this. But typically in entrepreneurship, especially if you're doing it full time, there's inconsistencies in income. So growing up, I was always around people that were hustlers. You'd have a bunch of money in the family, everyone would be living good. And then all of a sudden, you're looking in your wallet, why is it all dried up kind of thing? So my earliest memory related to money is the inconsistencies in it, but I also remember how we might be struggling one time and next month we would have a lot of money. And I'm a very big believer in God. And I was having this conversation with someone the other day, yesterday actually. She's also a business owner. And I said to her, because the majority of people that are entrepreneurs, I guarantee you they believe in God. Or they believe in a bigger power higher than them. And I said, I guarantee most of the people that are atheists, most of them have a 9-to-5, or they've never had to fend for themselves. They've never had a business. I'd say most people that are atheists aren't entrepreneurs. And I say that because when you're entrepreneur,
interesting to see, because I get what you're saying. That would actually be interesting to see in stats if somebody's done that. But I've definitely seen that with books I've read so far. Everybody says you have to have some kind of a faith in a higher power. I've definitely seen that. So that might be onto something there. You might be.
Yeah. And for those of you that's watching, I guess you can answer this question for yourself. If you're in business, if you are an entrepreneur, even if you've got a side hustle, do you believe in God? Do you believe in a higher power? That's the question I want to know. I feel like it does usually pan out that way. So for me, I've seen how God has been able to provide monetarily when we have literally nothing growing up. And so we go from having nothing to, oh, we're good again. So that's been my earliest memory. So how about you?
And from a family perspective, I think I was quite sheltered from anything that's going on. It's not till I've had conversations with my parents as adults that I can't hear about it being a bit like that. So I was lucky to be quite sheltered like that. But in terms of me relating to money. I think I just remember receiving it and knowing that I liked it. I liked stacking my birthday money and telling my mum and dad, is this the Bank of Heidi, when they wanted to use my birthday money and not pay me back. My bank, my
Mm,
bank. Yeah. So I've got a bit of a nicer memory in terms of earliest remembering it. And yeah, I was quite sheltered from what was going on in my parents' financial situations. They really didn't speak about it. I
mm.
think my mum only started to have a couple of conversations with me regarding money when I'm working, where it's just a thing of how to save money. My mum's always taught me how to save money. That was
Okay. Well, I remember as well. This was like a key point in my life, right? I remember when I must have been in like year 8, I think, maybe.
mm.
And I remember whenever I was to be naughty as a kid, my mum would take my phone off of me or take my games console or just something like that. You know what parents
Yeah.
are like, right? And I'll be like, Mum, just give me my phone back. She goes, but who paid for it?
Oh,
And
I'm triggered.
every time this happened, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's my phone. But she's like,
Who
who
paid for
bought
it?
you it?
Yeah, I'm remembering it now. It's all that one there.
And it was so painful that I remember this was like a motivating factor for me. And I remember when I bought my first phone, I bought it myself. Right?
Can't take it now, Mom.
Can't take nothing off of me now, right?
Yeah.
And I remember buying it and I was so gassed. It was a Samsung Toco. It was about this big. It
Right,
was that one of when touch screens were coming up, right? It was, do you remember the LG cookies?
Yeah, I have one.
Yeah, I know you probably,
Yeah.
that's for sure. Around that period of time, but this was like exclusive thing, right? So this is year
Yeah.
7, year 8. I bought it
Yeah.
for like £215.
Mm.
Don't ask me how I got the money.
Yeah, I was like, I started doing the maths sheet. I was like, I'm not gonna ask.
Yeah,
You did the words out of my mouth. I was like, no, it's not that vibe. Let's move on.
the money came
That's a lot of
and
birthday money.
birthday money, Christmas money. I stacked for it, right? And bought the phone. Anyways, 2 2s now. It got stolen by the year 10s.
Oh,
So it's like,
we had some
even
rough.
even
I
though
know
I
that.
myself, right? Even though I bought my phone myself and I was so happy and ecstatic about it, it still got taken off of me. And I learned that at that point in time, it doesn't matter if you buy something yourself, can you buy it again?
Oh, learning lessons. That is.
It's like if you just saved for it and you use money that just came out of nowhere, like birthday money and stuff like that, that's not cash flow. Do you know what I mean? So if you've just spent it all on a phone, the phone's gone. What are you gonna do now? So, but I got the taste of what money can do in terms of giving me freedom.
Short-lived.
And I guess from that, I guess just stemming on from that, when I was 16, I bought my car. I don't know if you remember my car. Oh, by the way, guys.
I remember you buying your car. I remember I was like, how's Leo got a car? He's not even got a license.
By the way, guys, for those of you that don't know, me and Heidi, we went to school together. So
and TLA.
No, TLA done. So I remember when I bought my car, I was 16 when I bought my car. And the main reason was because I understood freedom. I knew that once I got my license, right, I would be free. So it was sitting on my driveway as motivation, waiting for me to pass my test. But I really understood freedom, and I guess that's what money done for me from my earliest memory of it. So
how do you think your perspective on money has changed over time? That's our starting points. How has it evolved since then, if it has?
Well, let's take it from your perspective, because you said that money wasn't really something that you was
that I had to really think about. I guess obviously because it wasn't spoken about. It wasn't spoken about.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of had that save, 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 save. Just gotta save.
Mm.
And then I really like learning. And then so naturally I just started to read some books on finance and that I started to realize, oh, where is the saving getting me? Scrimping and saving, learning about inflation and just realizing saving is just not enough to have security. So I was sheltered in my childhood life, but within my own financial life, I took a fat L and I was broke for a little bit. And that was disgusting.
Can you tell us about it?
COVID time, so I got made redundant. And it just wasn't as easy to get another job. It wasn't as easy to get another 9 to 5. And that just really shook how I felt about the ways that you're supposed to earn money. I'm coming from a working class family and I had a very work, I've got that working. And I'm trying to move away from it, but I've got a very working class mentality of like, just get a job. That's what you do. It's
Yeah.
9 to 5. And then that's all there is. You have to work and you have to scrimp and you have to save. And there's nothing wrong with saving. I'm still very big on saving. Like, when I get paid, I make sure I've got my emergency fund, things like that. But I've realized true financial freedom to me would be to have a diversified income and to be putting my money into some investments. But I'm not at that stage yet because I still got a little learning to do when it comes to that. But I
Yeah.
just realized I don't want to be relying on one source of income because I've had that taken away from me, and you're just truly at the mercy of a company because I'm really good at my jobs. Like, I work very hard. I'm probably a company's like dream little employee. I do too much. But I don't want to be at the mercy of somebody else when it comes to, if I now lose that job, savings can run out and they
Mm,
do pretty quickly.
mm,
I don't want to be at that kind of in that kind of situation where it was just like I was just so unsure. Luckily for me, I also believe in God, and it I'm glad it happened to me at the age it did. I was 23. I was young enough to handle it and it didn't have severe consequences. It was just very emotionally distressing. But I learned to lean on God, and sometimes to the penny I was getting sent money here and there just to cover what I needed. And that was good for that time. But I also feel like God took me through that period and showed me that period, and God's really speaking to his people about you need other forms of income. You can't just rely on a 9 to 5. So
mm.
the ways I think about money and what's attainable and how you can earn it, that's changed. I feel like I never really used to care too much about money.
Mm.
But I think just you grow up and you realize, oh, this you need it. It is important.
Yeah. So do you think that obviously it was circumstantial, the reason why you said to yourself, I need another form of income, but do you think that in the back of your mind, even before that happened, that you slightly knew before it actually happened to you?
Yes, I have. I kept getting a few ideas for like, I think because I was quite new in my faith, I just don't always realize the ways that God's speaking to me. But I realized, oh, I'm asking for money. I'm getting an idea. If I would have pursued that idea, the idea could have made me money. And I feel like, especially within Christian community, I think that's where your faith and works go together. I've
Mhm.
asked God, I get an idea. If I'd done that idea,
Yeah.
that's where the money comes from.
Mhm.
Because God can 100% do financial miracles, longevity. He's actually given us the resources, the tools, and the talents within ourselves to provide. He
Mm.
don't leave us out here, but a lot of us don't realize he's actually given us talents. And there is that the parable of the talents shakes me to my core. Wicked and evil servant that did nothing with your talent. And
Yeah.
I always read that and I'm like, I need to fix art.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm sat on
Mm.
a list. So yeah, I did feel that call in, and I'd helped a couple of other people like start their businesses, and the way it was so natural and just was so easy for me to like step into that role of helping showed me I'm actually capable of just doing that for myself. That time and energy I'm pouring into other people's businesses, actually I should have reserved that to do something for myself. So
Okay, that's interesting. So I guess the question that bounces to me as well. So
mhm.
me, how has my perspective on money changed over time? I've always, I don't know, I've always understood how money can make me more money just from when I was younger, from when I was a teenager. So I've always been a big risk taker, and I've seen what it can give me from taking risks, but I've also seen the other side of it as well, as in the bad side of how a risk can go pear-shaped. And I always speak about this as well within one of the communities that I guess I teach in. And I always say that risk isn't usually something that you can start to like more of as you get older. It's usually always the other way around. You start to like it less. And it's probably because you've been burnt from something that happened before. They say once bitten, twice shy. And once you've been burnt, it's hard to keep being a risk taker. But I think for me, as someone who is very ambitious, I got big plans, I really, really want to give back to people.
Yeah.
Hence why I like to teach more than anything, because when I'm rich, I don't want everybody leeching off of me. I said, listen, I'm gonna teach you, right?
I hear it.
But so for me, because I've always been someone that's ambitious, I feel like it's my job now to be an example when it comes to how I can use money to do big things with it. And I was having a conversation with somebody probably 3 weeks ago, and he's somebody that makes, in terms of income, he probably makes around 500K a week from investing, and he makes about 250K a month from his businesses, right?
Mm.
And I asked him a question. I said, can people start to risk more? He said, no, but the only thing that you can do is try. But if you're afraid of trying, then you're not going to know if you can actually risk more than you like at the moment. So for me, right now, my perspective on money and how it's changed, I guess, is what can I do to be more calculated in my risks? And how can I do it so that I can still see great returns on
That
money?
sounds wise.
Yeah. So I guess is I'm sure everybody thinks like that. How can I make the most amount of money back from what I've got? And is it a calculated decision as well? So whereas before I'd risk more than just money to make money, and it was just being naive.
Yes, it's just the thrill, the game.
Actually. So I guess you've already spoke on money wasn't really discussed at home. So how did you start learning about it? Was it from somebody in particular? Was it from a certain book? How did you come across learning about money? Because obviously we're not taught about it at school. So from your perspective, where did you start learning about it from?
I dated a couple of them finance boys. So you know what? Shout out you. So shout out you. I was actually listening when you was talking about your pips, and
Hey,
I was actually taking notes.
love it.
So then from there, I suppose when you think you're building a life with someone, you're obviously just going to get on board with that. And I just carried it on with me. Like I don't need to be in those kind of relationships to carry on with it. So it encouraged me to pursue the knowledge on my own. So since then, it's been books though. The main bulk of my knowledge has been books. I think I just remember it being said, or credit card wise, it was just said like, oh, you need a credit card to build your credit. But I never understood that until I read this book called I Will Teach You to Be Rich, which isn't necessarily about, it's not teaching you how to make more money per se, but it's how to make money work for you, like the money that you already have. So I actually finally understood the credit cards and credit card rates and utilization. I won't get too much into it in this one because it's not the focus. We can talk about it another day. But definitely books. I like to watch YouTube videos on anything. So if there is a specific topic, I will go to YouTube. Obviously, you have to fact check things, especially with YouTube and whatnot. Even with books, just because it's a book, you have to go into it with critical engagement and critical thinking. But yeah, it definitely started from there, the Finance Bros. I was like, yeah, this is making some sense. I feel like the first book I read was a Grant Cardone one. I think it was on selling yourself. Yeah, sell or be sold, because I was really shy to ask anyone for money, and I kept doing stuff for free. Like, I didn't want to charge anyone. And like, he was like, read this book. And I was like, oh.
Yo, he put you on game right there.
Yeah. So I read that and I was like, I wasn't quite ready at that time. But I read it and I absorbed it. It gave me a little bit of a perspective shift, and then just getting pulled back into it. But yeah, I think that was the first book I read. So then I think I started to watch some of his content. I think I followed him on Instagram, and I think he does videos here and there. I probably watched one of his webinars, something like that. So it wasn't a bad place to start.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's good. So
How about
that's how
you?
for me, how did I start learning about? I guess if you was to point back to a time where I said I'm gonna learn about it in terms of study it, is like being an entrepreneur, you grow up doing it rather
Yeah.
than reading it kind of thing.
Mm.
So that's how I started learning. I started learning from actually being in the trenches. But if we're speaking from like academic standpoint, and of course, you give you guys a bit of background about me. I went to school. I went to sixth form. I studied sports at sixth form. I had to leave early from sixth form, and then I went to college to study electrics. So nothing to do with finance, nothing to do with business. I only done electrics at college just to get my free education and get my mama back. But that's it. So I didn't study anything to do with finance or anything like that. I didn't go to university, didn't think it was worth it for me, didn't want to get into debt. I was always against debt. That's why I obviously bought my car outright. I owns, contracts, stuff like that. I'd always pay for up front. So that's what I was like in the beginning. Just pay for everything in cash, pay for everything in cash. I've then obviously come to learn a bit more about credit and how
Yeah.
to use it, debt versus bad debt, right?
Yeah.
And other people's money. How I yeah, back to the question. So how I started learning about it, books. Found myself a mentor
Mm.
who successful in business, and naturally he would recommend different kind of books to listen to.
Okay.
And I think the first book that I read was Jim Rohn. I think it was Jim Rohn, Keys to Success by Jim Rohn. That was one of the first books that I ever read, which was crazy. The first money book, I guess that started to get me to think, is obviously Rich Dad Poor Dad. I think most people should know about that. It's like the
I think
cliche
that's a
one.
lot of people's starting.
And then I read like Compound Effect, which is a really good book, just about habits in general. And what is one of the best books on money? Well, for
Okay.
savers, anyway. You probably read it, The Richest Man in Babylon.
No,
Have you not read it?
no, I was just bracing myself. I didn't want you to say anything about 48 Laws of Power.
Oh no,
That book I've got absolute beef. So I was like, what's he gonna say? Is he gonna bring that up?
no, I haven't read that yet. To be fair,
Don't.
someone said manipulation.
It's the narcissist handbook. That's what it is. How to be a narcissist. If you're interested in that, then maybe we cut it here. But
No, no,
I
no.
think it's probably worth skimming through just because a lot of people have read it. So if you wanted to
Yeah.
engage in a conversation about it with somebody and not get caught off guard, in terms of defense mode, it's good to read. If anybody's trying to bang them tactics on you, but do not.
Implement it. All right, cool. I won't bring it to Let's Talk Money then.
We could get into it. I'm just gonna trash it.
And I guess that would be quite a controversial one as well. I think
A lot of people do actually like that book, so we could get into it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just come for it.
But so that's really how I started learning from books. And then, of course, I've gone to live seminars, which are really good because you get around other people. You're like, raw, there's actually other people like me, and you're trying to study it. People that aren't rich that are studying money. I feel like in households where money isn't spoke about, you think that only the rich people speak about money and teach their kids about money and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it was like exclusive information that perhaps it was forbidden knowledge from us brokies.
Yeah. Oh, not brokies. Oh, I hear it. It's not a lie, is it? But
so then when I started to go to like seminars, everybody's like me, trying to learn, like they're all from scratch, all from the beginnings or whatever. And yeah, of course, you just build on that. You connect with good people. You have conversations about money now. You speak to people about different ways to make money and stuff like that. And
yeah,
man, cool. So what would you say that your relationship's like right now with money?
me and her are cool. It could be better. I think it's probably the most positive it has been, but I think I'm still breaking off a lot of it's like a poverty mindset, and I think it's just it's such a UK thing. It exists in other places outside the UK, but talk to most people and you can just hear it in their way they speak. It's very fear-based. And as I unpack and as I learn about money, I do realize I've had a lot of fears towards it. And I think I think I'm trying to break off the lack because I am in a better place with money, but I sometimes forget that I'm in that place and I have that thought process of I haven't got enough, I haven't got enough, I haven't got enough. And that's just not it's not what you want to have, especially if you want to make more money, not be coming from that energy. It's not the one.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at though, just to keep it transparent. That's where I'm at.
So you're working on it, basically.
I'm working on it. We're in counseling. We're trying to work it out. We can repair. How about you?
My relationship right now with money is, I guess, like practicing abundance rather than practicing and working in from a poverty mindset.
Yeah.
I know I have unlimited resources. I have potential that I have and that we all have, infinite. So you shouldn't put a cap on what you believe that you're capable of doing. I also understand the power of networking and
Mm.
how one conversation can open a door to a floodgate of money. And so I guess it's me just reinforcing that I have access to these things that I've just said and spoken on, rather than open around. And being in business is like, you can't know when your next payday is going to be, depending on the type of income that you're looking at. So for me, it's like my relationship with money, how could I put it in a nutshell, in the simplest form? My relationship with money is, I understand it, and I'm trying to get a better understanding of it to ensure that I don't experience such dramatic ups
Yeah.
and downs. That's what I want, because I've had really good months. From There's been certain times that I've made more than most people would ever make in a month, majority of their lives. Then obviously I've had months where I've made zero. You know what I mean? So it's understanding how to use those months to my benefit to ensure that the zero months don't happen, so that it's consistent. So that's
Ability.
the stability. But the one thing that I understand as well is that when it comes to having a job, the stability is good, but the freedom is nil. But when you go full time in business, the freedom is great, but the stability is nil. But this is why a lot of people look at starting up side hustles and things like this on the side. And what I would say is if any of you that's watching this is looking to get into business, I'd say always start something on the side. And I say this from the aspect that if I was to tell my kids, basically, right, I wouldn't say for them to do exactly what I have done. I say that because most people couldn't hack it in reality.
Yeah.
I remember when I first left my job, my first proper 9 to 5, I had like 6K in savings. And I left because I just felt so unfulfilled. And if you feel like this in your job and you feel like you have a higher calling, something more that you want to do and go on to, then I get exactly how you feel. I felt so suppressed and like a victim to my circumstances. So I just had that burning motivation inside of me just to get out of my job. And perhaps I didn't have the stability, but I knew that the feeling that I will have after going after what I wanted to go after, that's going to be well worth it, because at least I can say that I tried it. At least I can say that I went after it. And worst case scenario, I know that God's got me.
Amen.
Like that. So I know, and this stuff just builds your faith as well. So guarantee if you're an atheist and you do that, you'll believe in God.
You got to.
Literally. So I guess in closing, this is a question, I guess, that we've noted for ourselves and for the viewers. But what's one thing that you want to change in regards to your mindset about money?
I think I touched on it a little bit when I was speaking about my relationship with money, but maybe just go a little bit deeper.
I guess what would be good to know, what's
Mhm.
your goal when it comes to money?
What's my goal? My very immediate goal is to set up my investments retirement account. I really want to make sure that I've secured that, because I've been going to uni and then going to work. I definitely want to set that up to make sure that that is in place, so that when I get to that age, that's my immediate goal. And then I think once I've put that in place, it then becomes not being scared to pursue creative ways of making money outside of 9 to 5. Because of the field I'm kind of going into, I will be working a job but I don't want that to be my only source of income. So I suppose it's getting the information I need and shifting my mindset and perspective so I can just start.
So would you say that your priority is, because there is obviously multiple different forms of income, right? So those of you that don't know, there's active income, which is money that you're making from having to be there.
Residual.
Right. Of
So
course, you can,
some residual. Sure.
but you can make active income, let's just say as a business owner through a side
Yeah.
hustle, of course, you're pursuing, of course, but you're going to have to actively do something in order to make that. The second is portfolio income, which is you have equity in something which appreciates over time and grows your money. And then, of course, you've got passive income, residual income, money that comes in after you've done the work or after you've made the investment one time. So what would you say is your priority in terms of your goal? Is it to make active income from business, or would you say your main focus is growing that portfolio income, like you said, your pension account, I think you said?
The safe answer is from residuals from investing. But if I'm to overcome fear, then it has to be active income. It has to
Right.
be another source of active income. If I'm gonna
Yeah.
be a big girl,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a big girl, then it's that one. What I was gonna say in terms of my mindset about money, like if I'm to be very, very, very honest, and it's gonna sound weird, but I've actually been really scared to make money because I never wanted it to change me. Like I had this, which to me, because to be imagining having that kind of money and then being scared of it makes me feel like everybody's even having them imaginations anyway. If I was never meant, if that money was never attainable, it's not something that I would have to have feared, kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah, I guess I just ideas of success. I guess the only real money I saw come with a certain lifestyle that I just didn't really want a part of, especially like being a creative and if it's gonna come from creative pursuits. There's just some things I was just like, oh, I don't know.
I don't want the money to change me.
That felt really scary, but I've just realized like no, I'm actually so much more in control. So my mindset's changed a little bit, but I do think it has held me back from starting things that I really could have just started by now. Like if I'm to keep it to myself.
Yeah, cool.
How
So
about
say
you?
for me, as it stands at the moment, my portfolio income is that I already have a 6-figure net worth, you could say, but that's based off of portfolio income. So my thing now is obviously passive income. My passive income is always building kind of thing anyways. So I understand that passive income is more so long term, up for that builds up steadily.
Mm.
And I know that portfolio income could literally go 0 to 100 real quick as well. So I'm not even worried on that front. So I would say, like you, my main goal when it comes to money would be active income, to get a sizable active income. I don't need to worry about anything else. I don't need to focus on what my portfolio is looking like. I don't need to focus on what my passive income is looking like, because I want to be able to have consistent months, like I said to you before, that were the really good months, and just be able to clear off my whole year's worth of living kind of thing. That same person that I was speaking about, he makes around 500K a week. He said everything changed for him when he made his first 30K like that. The reason why is because, not because he was able to live a crazy lifestyle like he lives today, but because he was able to take care of his bills and everything like that a normal person has for the foreseeable future, so he can focus more on what he wants to focus on. That money doesn't need to be a problem. So like you, it would be active income, just to make sure that we're covered on all fronts. So I guess we're going to be able to circle back to see how that changes, to see how we improve. And of course, we're going to get started on the books. And that's what the next session is going to be on, I guess. So do you want to give an insight as to what books we're going to be starting, or should we go over that next week?
Let's go over it next week. Got to
Yeah.
keep some mystery.
All right then. Stay tuned for part 2. Cool. Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
Just let us know your thoughts in the comments, guys, of some of the questions that we've asked. As much as it was us answering, we actually do want to hear from you as well. Whole point is to start a discussion, not just for you to hear us talking about it, but for everyone to be talking amongst each other. So
that's all we want from you guys. So we're here not just for entertainment purposes, but we're here to actually help you.
Yeah.
So I hope you got value from this session. It's been eye-opening for me just to even realize the kind of stuff that I've been subject to throughout my life when it comes to money. And it's going to be interesting to see it transpire. So I guess with that, I'll see you guys on the next session. Let's talk money, baby.
Bye.
The amount of money I'm going to be making would hurt your parents' feelings. You remember the class where I taught you all how to make it rain?